Welcome back to the Daily Journal. So I've had plenty of requests to do Bitcoin. So this is the 10 a.m. continuation on Bitcoin. This is the perpetual chart on Bybit. Of course, this is where we trade Bybit. But what you'll find is that the chart, the 4-hour chart, is slightly different on the perps chart as it is to the futures chart. The futures chart will open at a new 4-hour candle at 10 a.m. whereas this opens an hour later on the perps chart. But nonetheless, the analysis remains the same. So let's just rewind the clock yesterday. If you've watched my live analysis or top-down analysis, you would know that I was targeting these lows, these relative lows that were left behind. So this is our clear drawn liquidity, and our low-hanging fruit is this low over here. So immediately my eyes go to this inefficiency. I'm looking to trade the continuation. So price traded up into, and of course, if you know my analysis on the weekly, you'll know that it was that weekly order block that we got rejected from. And I'm expecting this market maker sell model to continue to the downside, especially after we had closed this candle beneath that, right? That's continuation. So I'm looking for further continuation down to these equal lows. And this is the low-hanging fruit. So going into the New York session, let's just clean up the chart a bit. Here's our low-hanging fruit. But this is our high time frame target down here. So keep your eyes on that. So let's map out the New York Open. And of course, remember we had news at 10 a.m. So we'll just go forward. So there we go. We've tapped into that 4-hour gap. And of course, we need a swing low to form, which will allow us to look for a change in state of delivery. So whether or not that's it, I'm not too sure, but that is a swing low that is forming. And of course, if your bias is short, you want to see price moving in the opposite direction, going into or at the open. You can see we've swept these highs. So we swept the high. We've then had a change in the state of delivery. But this is before the open. In addition to the fact that we are trading into a balanced price range. So you can expect a bounce. And of course, we got to wait for news. So there's the open. It traded straight into that balanced price range. We respect that really nicely. And now here's the thing. Price is trading up into that, and if your bias is wrong, your high time frame bias is wrong, you would get caught offside here. You could be, saying, okay, great, change of state of delivery here. You've just traded outside of, from a balanced price range. We've swept liquidity here, and you could be looking to target these highs, right, with this kind of like breaker block type thing. But that's why high time frame bias is so important, especially with a relatively illiquid asset such as Bitcoin. So the way that I look at this is that, okay, great, it can trade up and take out these highs, and then I just look for the model to repeat. Or I can view this, not this work as an inefficiency. Just imagine this as a fair value gap. So we can grade this. And we don't want price closing above the 0.5. Okay, that happened more faster than I expected. So you can see it respected that 0.5 level. So let's just clean this up a little bit. Okay, there's the 0.5. It's been respected. And on that, so you could probably drop down to the 5 minutes and look for a change in the state of delivery to come a little sooner. So that's the news. You've manipulated, and then at the news, you've dropped lower. And on that next close beneath this, that is your entry. Now, here's the thing with Bitcoin. That's just how it goes. It's unfortunately, you can barely get 2R. This is just not the cleanest price action. And if you had, held this down to 2R, you probably would have got that. Not yet. Let's see how that played out. Okay, eventually you got there. Trading that continuation from the 10 a.m. you could argue that you could use this, but that's not a swing low. That's the swing. That's the swing that delivered this swing high that created a change in state delivery. Of course, that's what I would have used for my standard deviation. And there it is. Takes you right down to that 22.5. And there's the trade. So the model applies to all assets. You can use this in crypto, although I recommend sticking to the majors. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.